excited to be here. I recently moved from San Leandro. I live in Walnut Creek now, but I lived here for 4 years. I just moved last May. I got introduced to San Leandro, the chamber, everything that's happening here, with fiber coming in, and so this is an awesome city. I hope to come back one day, but I'm really fortunate and happy to be here in front of you guys, and so I hope that I can provide you guys with some enlightening information and help you guys sort of on your journey the same way somebody's helped me. I'm just here to pay it forward. So, MBA in the game, we're here, so the objective is it's objective. Okay, all right. So no worries, don't worry about the text. But what I want you guys to know today is we're going to understand what a project is, and then what project management is, right? Because there's two different things, and sometimes we get sort of confused about that. I also want to expose you guys to the different knowledge areas of project management, so you can have a better understanding of which ones you already know and which ones you ought to go and do some research on. We'll determine the skills that you guys need to be successful, because if you're launching a business or if you're in flight now, you still have many projects, and you're going to need some particular tools and skill sets in order to move you along at a faster pace, more efficiently, more effectively. I'm going to give you guys that information so that you can develop those skills. I'll give you some insights on some of the best tools that you can use for whether you're a solopreneur or you've got a small team of 5 or 10. I'll give you some of those project management tools. Many of these are free, they're cloud-based. And then I'll help you understand the difference between a framework and a methodology, because that's thrown out there a lot in project management. And then I'll give you some concepts that you guys can immediately take back into your lives today, professional and personal. And then we'll finish off the Q&A session. So first, what is creative adaptive thinking? Well, creative thinking is the idea of a novel idea. Can we come up with something new? And adaptive thinking is the idea of, it doesn't happen in the calm, when we're home or with our family or at work in our office. It happens in the storm, in the heat of the moment, when you've got to make a snap decision. Right? That's what adaptive thinking is. And so creative adaptive thinking is a combination of the two. And I just have a few pictures here for you guys so you can see sort of, if you haven't been exposed to it, what formal project management looks like. So this is a persona diagram, right, or an affinity diagram, if you guys have ever heard of that. It's where we take all this information and we group them together. If you look in the automobile industry, this is the idea that if you sit in your car, it knows if you're the mom driver, the dad driver, maybe the in-law, the teen driver, based on your height and your weight. Right? The seat feels your weight, and then your presets come in. Right? That's the idea of an affinity diagram. We take information together, group it, and then figure out that. So this is a sample of something we've done. This is a mind map, and I'm showing this to you guys off the bat because I want you guys to see some of the things that you probably should do, and I consider these to be low-tech, high-touch, where you're working on the wall, you're working with your team members, your partners, and you're getting more out of it. Right, so this is just a mind map. One of the best tools, and you can do this with stickies as well, where you just put your ideas in there. Right, this is a bunch of stickies. Right, I'm talking quite a bunch of stickies. Right? I had to kind of blur this out because some of this is I work with certain companies and we can't divulge that information. An idea wall. But project management is always. So project management always. So what is a project, right? Just understand that a project is temporary. That's a definite start and end date. Right? Point A to point B. It cannot be ongoing. So that's what a project is for you guys. Everything else is operations. And it must produce something unique, a one-off. So if you're launching your business, that's a one-off. You will then roll into operations. But in the beginning, that is a project. So that's what a project is. But then, what is project management, right? They give you a guide, the PMBOK guide, for those of you guys who aren't familiar with the PMBOK, that's the Project Management Body of Knowledge. That's put out by PMI, they're the Project Management Institute. They're the largest governing body in the world. So they govern project management. You'll hear good and bad about it. That's their definition. So temporary endeavor undertaking to create a unique product, service, or result. But temporary and unique, those are the two takeaways there. But then what is project management? Project management is a bunch of things, but a lot of text on this slide. Ultimately, it's this. Getting from point A to point B as efficiently and effectively as possible. Can you do it in the least amount of time, with the least amount of money, with the least amount of resources? That's what it is. That's all it is. It doesn't have to be anything more than that. So to give you a definition, it's the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet the requirements. But I want you guys to know projects versus operations. Again, projects are temporary, operations produce repetitive results. So you guys will get into that phase, and then ultimately you'll get to a point where you realize there's implementation project management. We want to deploy, we want to put something into our current systems. There's deployment project management, there's something new, and we want to take that on. And then there's operations project management. We got to fix something. Right? There's a small project to fix. So if one of the lights go out and you have to do regular maintenance, that's operation project management. Right? It's temporary, we'll fix light bulb. Right? Maybe it's, we want to retrofit this room with LED lights. Okay, that would be an implementation and a deployment. Right? It could be both. So project management and projects sort of take on a life of their own. Ultimately, it's a one-off. It's unique. Right? No point B. Excuse me, for I can't see. Oh, there we go. For operations. And then programs and portfolios. Because you guys are entrepreneurs, you're going to be starting your businesses, or you're in flight and you want to expand. You're going to have multiple tasks that you're doing, multiple little things that you want to, get done, and then the combination of all of those things makes your business what it is. And that's what a program is. Right? It's a collection of projects that are related. Your portfolio is something different, and I'm not going to get too technical into this, but just ultimately a portfolio is to say, if we take, AT&T, and we say AT&T has a financial side, and an R&D side, and a business side. Those are their portfolios. And then within that, they would have a program. So you guys can think of that. You can think of your business as a portfolio. Right? In your lives, you have personal things, you have relationships, and then you have your professional piece. Those are your different portfolios. And within that, you'll have different programs that you're looking to accomplish, which are a collection of projects. So as time passes in your projects, risk is going to decrease. And that's because the unknown starts to go away. You start to figure out what's happening, the unknown goes away. And then the cost of changes increase. Much cheaper to change something in the beginning when you're designing it than at the end when you've already built it and you've got to go back and make a change. So planning is one of the most important pieces of project management. All right? Risk is highest at an inception because it's uncertain. Right? And risk can be positive, by the way. If you're a Chevron and you're drilling for oil, there's risk that you might have some environmental impact, but then there's also, that's the negative risk. The positive risk is that while you're drilling for oil, you might find natural gas. Right? So there's positive risk as well. When you guys take these risks, you've got to look at that. And then there's this piece here on stakeholder management. Everybody that's going to be involved in your project are stakeholders. Your family members are stakeholders. The people that you hire are stakeholders. Your vendors, your suppliers, stakeholders. You're all going to have a relationship with those folks, and it's really important to manage those relationships because that's how you're going to have the biggest success in your projects. The biggest thing about project management, don't let anyone fool you, it's stakeholder management. Can you work with all the different personalities and their competing desires? Can you do that? All right, so there's 5 process groups. You guys, the first thing is the initiation phase, initiation process group. This is where we sort of define the project and our goals. Then we go and we plan it out. We execute it. And as we're running the project, we're monitoring and controlling. We're looking at the plan and we're saying, do the actuals match the plan? And based on the data that we have, what will your project look like in the future? Right? That's that monitoring and control piece, and that's how you see it sort of go around like this. And then in the end, we'll close our project. So that's PMI's version of project management. That's a very sequential or linear design where you're just sort of going through. Most of you guys are going to run projects like that. You're going to have a bunch of changes, and you're going to have a lot of chaos through your projects. And we're going to get to that. But this is sort of where you guys want to start. And by the way, I'll provide a copy of this slides here for you guys so you can have some information. There's, again, a lot of text on here. So I want to just talk about the 5 process groups so you guys understand. You have the initiating process group. And this is where you say, I'm going to take on a new goal. Really important for you guys. You don't need to have a very specific charter, right? That's a very formal document that says, here's the goals of the project, and here's how long we think it ought to take, and here's how much money we want to put at it, and ultimately this is what the business deliverables are going to be. That's your charter. But you guys do need to have some type of sheet that says that. Something. Make sure you guys always refer back to your goals. Everything that you should be doing for your business should go back to some initial goal, right? And that's the initiating process. And then you go and you plan it out, and you get total scope, total knowledge area. That's the planning process group. And then you go and you execute it. You'll follow the plan. And that's something that we sort of miss sometimes as entrepreneurs. We'll make a plan and then we'll run because life gets in the way. Sometimes we don't go back and check that plan in flight. So this is a really important process, and that happens between the two, monitor and control. That's your tracking and reviewing. Making sure, what's the plan good? You can be doing everything right. We don't keep all the notes. We don't keep everything. File that stuff away so that you can use it again. And then the 10 knowledge areas. I'm going to skip over the integration knowledge area right now, but I'm going to talk about scope. Scope is the idea again. I'm going to collect requirements and take those requirements from all of my stakeholders, project requirements, solution requirements, right, stakeholder requirements. I'm going to take that and define a scope. I'm going to take this document that says, here's what we're doing, here's what we're not doing, here's how we're going to do it, here's how it gets done. Remember those 4 things. What you're doing, what you're not doing, which is really important. A lot of us will not say what we're not doing. Very important to do that so that way we're not taking on extra tasks and spending extra money. Right? And it's the idea of we're painting this room. What are we doing? We're painting all of the walls. What are we not doing? We're not painting the ceiling. We're not painting any of the wallpaper. We're not painting any of the trim. Right? How are we going to do it? We're going to brush it. We're going to spray it. We're going to roll it. And how will we get sign-off? Somebody's going to come and rub their hands along the wall and say, is this satin? Is this semi-gloss? Is it high-gloss paint? Right? Or maybe we'll just take a picture and send it to the customer. They say, yeah, that's the right color. Right? But those are the 4 pieces of scope. And then you've got to break that work down. Now that you've got this document, now you've got to break it down visually so that you can have components. Visual representation is one of the best things. And then in time management, what we do is we then take that work that we broke down into visual components, and we further break it down into little activities that we can do, and we'll sequence them, we'll put them in order, and then we'll determine the types of resources and the people that we need in order to achieve those activities, and then we'll determine how long it will take depending upon that resource, and we'll determine the schedule based on time. We'll turn around and we'll take that schedule and we'll say, okay, the resources that we chose and the length of time that it's going to take, how much are they going to cost? And then all of our quality activities and our risk, let's lump all that in. Just throw some extra on top for uncertainties, and we'll get a budget. Quality management is all about how do we assure that we are going to do things the way that we said we're going to do it? How do we make sure that everything's going to be consistent? And then we get to human resource management, all the people on our team. How do we acquire folks? How do we let them go? How do we train them? How do we keep them safe? How do we demonstrate compliance? If maybe we got a bid with the local city and we've got to hire 30% of our workforce from the local area, right? How do we demonstrate compliance? How do we recognize when we reward people? Communications management is all about how do we make sure that everybody gets the right information at the right time using the right method. We get to risk management, and this is where you identify all of your risks, you put them in a risk register, and then you go through a qualitative process that says, what's the probability that this risk is going to happen? What's the impact that this risk will have, if it does happen? And then you would multiply that probability times the impact, you get a score, and then the ones with the highest score, immediately you go and you work on those. And the ones with the lowest score, you leave them out. Very important process for you guys to do, because sometimes the risks in our head aren't the same when you go through that exercise. So that's the risk qualification. You then quantify those risks, and you'll say, okay, each of these risks will cost my company X amount of dollars if it does happen. And then you go back to that, what's the probability, and you multiply that probability by that dollar amount, and you say, I should put away this much money in contingency reserves in case we don't make it. I should put away another 10% in case we run out of payment. Something like that, right? And then you'll have how you sort of manage those risks. So, when do we mitigate risk? When do we take some action to make sure that we can minimize the impact of the probability? And when do we actually avoid the risk? Okay, we're just not going to pay. We're going to put wallpaper up. When do you accept the risk? That's what you'll do with that one. Procurement management, this is all about the vendors. Source selection criteria. We do this when we make major purchases. You buy a refrigerator, you buy a car, you go and you look at the warranty, how long has the company been in business. That's your source selection criteria. And then you'll look at, okay, what type of contracts do we want to use? Fixed price contracts versus time and materials, versus cost reimbursable contracts. And then finally, you have a stakeholder management. Right? How do we make sure that everybody stays engaged in the project? Different from communication. Stakeholder management says we have some stakeholders who have no idea the project's happening, but it affects them the most. So you guys may have dealt with situations like that in your personal lives, even your professional lives, right? Something is going to affect somebody and you have no idea that it's going to happen. Right? So how do we keep folks engaged? So those are the different knowledge areas. And by the way, there's a lot of information here. You guys will be able to go to the website and there's free resources on there for you guys. And anything that you need, again, you can ask me questions. Because I know there's a lot here. This is not what I really want to get to. I just wanted to sort of introduce you guys to project management and how boring it can be. But boring is good when it's business, right? Boring means that everything is happening, right? But here's what an entrepreneur project manager means, right? You need to get the big picture, because a lot of times we're dealing with uncertainty. We don't really know. We're doing this for the first time. We're starting some new venture. We haven't been in this space before. So you got to be able to see the big picture so all the little fires can be. You have to be a leader and a motivator. Sometimes you have to motivate the people that you're paying to do the work. You got to know how to do that. You got to know when to push hard on somebody and when to back off. When to collaborate with them versus when to be very direct and very prescriptive about what they're doing. Team building. If you can figure out a way to make everybody feel like they're part of the team, it's the best way to go. Some of you guys may have been in situations where you work at companies and contractors come on and they're helping you guys do the jobs that you're doing, and then your company will have a team dinner, and then those contractors don't get invited. It's the easiest way to make people not feel like a team. Everybody has a blue badge and somebody has a red badge. Right? It's these things that we want to avoid in your entrepreneurial life. Make sure that everybody feels like they're a part of the team, because when people are invested, they put a little bit more into it. You got to be patient. And you guys all know this. If you're entrepreneurs, you know that you got to be patient. Nothing happens like that. You really have to be able to take your time and weather the storm. Be a great listener. If you can listen 90% and speak 10, you're going to get so much more information. Absorb it. Listen to people. Don't just listen with your ears. Listen with your eyes. Watch for eye contact, body language. Listen for tone of voice. That nonverbal communication can be one of the key aspects when you're interviewing vendors, when you're interviewing folks that you potentially want to hire, whether on a contractual basis or as a full-time employee. You got to be strategic and organized. Enough said there. You got to be proactive, optimistic, and said there, and then technically sound. Whatever your domain is, be technically sound. And don't try to be a generalist. Be very, very good at one thing, and then do that well. And then effective task delegating, everything that sort of goes without saying. So this is what you guys. So these are the skills that you guys really need in order to be successful when you're doing something for the first time on your own, or you're starting a business. Now, a lot of text on here, but I put this here because I want to send it to you guys, and you guys can read this on your own time. But the key takeaways from here is that you're 40% more likely to deliver your project if you have those skill sets that we saw in the previous slide. Now, only 30% of project managers right now hold these skills, and I would say that it's probably less. And the only reason why I have that opinion is because I teach this, and so I have folks that come in that have been managing projects for 20, 30 years, and some that have been managing 2 or 3, and it's all the same. It really doesn't matter if you don't have that foundation. So many of the project managers don't possess these skills, but we all can. It's not like, oh, some people can do it and others can't. We can all develop these skills. So when you guys are building your teams, I want you to focus on the entrepreneurial skills that we saw on this slide and the people that you're bringing on and as you're training them. Don't focus so much on the process and methodology. We'll hire people and we'll say, this is how you do everything. Here's our process. This is how you check it in. And you'll want them to do exactly this, how it is that you would do it. That's not always the best way. You got to let people sort of open their wings and bring their own flavor to it. They might have something that you didn't think of that's much better than you would have thought. Or they might make a mistake that teaches you something for the future. So allow people to do that. Allow them to sort of to have experiential learning. On-the-job learning is 3 times more effective than classroom training. So allow people to make their mistakes and fail their way to success. It's the key takeaway from this slide. And I put this slide in here. This is a real retrospective that we have. We call them retrospectives. I don't like to call them postmortems or sunset review. It just sounds so documented. I don't like it. So we call them a retrospective. In retrospect, what could we have done better? What could we do different? And an easy one to do, whether it's just you and a few people or an entire team, what should we keep doing? What should we stop doing? What should we start doing? And depending on the amount of items that you have in each column, you'll understand we're doing a lot of things wrong, or we're doing some things right, but there's a lot of stuff that we need to start. You'll figure that out. So you can give people some stickies, have them sit down in a room and work this out, and you'll be amazed at how much information you get. And there's a website here, a link that I put on here that you guys can go and take a look at. All right, there's also some PM tools. Let's get to the PM tools. I want to show you guys some different tools that you're going to be able to use. So I have this website up. All right, so, and I put this website in here. Any of you guys familiar with Capterra? Capterra is a good website. What they do is it's sort of like a hub for information. They collect all this information. You can go there and look different things up, right? So here are the top 10 project management software solutions from their list. I'll read you their list, which I think is pretty sound, and I'll tell you the three that I'm pro on. So 10,000 foot, I've never heard of it. Or I should say I've never used it, but a lot of people speak highly of it. I've never used this, but the whole idea is that it's a high level. You guys are gonna have many things going on. It's a good way for you to get a view of what's happening, especially if you have multiple work streams. All right, Asana. I use Asana. I like this tool. Asana was developed by, I forget the name of the guy, but he was one of the co-founders of Facebook. This is what they used internally at Facebook before he left and decided to start a company and build this on their own. And Facebook still uses this today. It's an awesome task management tool that allows teams to collaborate. If you're a person who's dealing with a lot of email, this will eliminate it. Asana's good for that. At Task, this is more of an enterprise level one up here, but it's still a good system. If you have a lot of processes and you got a lot of stuff that you got to communicate to people back and forth, this would be a good tool. Podio is another one. I'm going to jump down to Smartsheet. If you use Excel, you want to get on Smartsheet. Smartsheet's really good to collaborate with people. You can get a free account, and I think the next level up is maybe 14 or 15 bucks a month. It's cloud-based. You can share this with people. They can collaborate. Think your Google Docs or your Google spreadsheets, but just a little bit more robust. All right? It's a really good tool. They have a Kanban feature, and I'll explain what Kanban is in a second, but you can move columns and swim lanes, and you can have different views of all of your information in the spreadsheet. And the beautiful thing is that you can work in Excel and then copy and paste this in there. And it's also drop-down fields, and there's different things that you can use. So I really like Smartsheet. All right, Teamwork's one. And then Trello. This is a Kanban tool. All right, so Asana, Smartsheets, and Trello are the three that I really like. Kanban is all about a pull methodology. It helps you keep the team focused on what's happening. It was developed by Toyota. And it's the idea that we might have all of these items to do. But what's in progress, you would say, I'm going to put a limit of 5. I have 5 people, and we can only do 5 things at once. So I can't have more than 5 things going on. And this eliminates multitasking, because in our world where we think that, oh, if you're multitasking, you're getting more done, and it doesn't work. Context switching, just get one item done, pull it into the done, right? To do, in progress, done. Pull it into the done. And in your to do or your doing section, you might reserve, if you had a limit of 5, you might reserve a number 2. So say, I need to have 2 for emergencies or priority or expedite or something like that. So this is their concept, their visual concept that you can do. And then the last one is Write. I'm not familiar with Write.
I use that one.
Tell me about it. What do you think?
So I like it because I have projects that are events that happen throughout the year, and it helps me keep track of. I can have separate to-do sheets for every different event. I can do some of my tasks are just for my department. Some of it is event planning. Some of it is things I have to do once a year. So I can put all of that in one place and have to-do lists, and you have to put in the work to get everything set up. But also things that are recurring, I can set for if I have to work for another 25 years, I can set it to tell me every year for the next 25 years on this day I need to be doing this. So it's actually been very helpful when you have multiple projects in kind of different areas to help keep things moving.
Okay, makes sense. So if you guys have some programs, multiple projects,
and you can share it too, up to 5 users, I think is great.
and that's one of the things you guys want to look at when you're evaluating the tool. When you're evaluating the tool, make sure that you can share it with people, because that's a common feature across the board. If you can't share, if you don't have that collaboration, then it's just for you. And you want to be able to collaborate with them. But thank you for that. That's good. All right, so those are the different tools that are out there for you guys. So now let's get into the methodologies versus the frameworks. So how many of you guys have heard of PMI? So if you're familiar with the waterfall style, how many of you guys have heard of Agile? Agile. There's that term still. What's Agile? That's okay, because that's why I say, what does it mean to you? Because it's right, there isn't a wrong answer to it. What's that for you?
That the phases aren't necessarily going in. So with like waterfall, it's you start and then the different steps that go down, but agile you can kind of move around and move back.
Okay, and that's what I want to get into. I want to get into the teaching of the framework. So you have the PMI, the waterfall, you have sort of this Scrum Master, the Agile, and then you have Six Sigma. All right, so waterfall, literally because you will initiate a project, you do all the work, and you'll come back and you'll plan it, and do all the work, and then you'll execute, and monitor, control, and close. And that's that sort of waterfall. Very linear. I need a chart that says my goals. I got to plan everything out, and I can't start doing anything until I'm done planning. And then I'm going to do it. And as I'm doing it, I'll monitor and control it. And then when I'm done, I've got to collect everybody, get lessons learned, get signed. Most large organizations, large corporations, they run on this. Most large corporations right now are trying to get to this. They're trying to get to Agile because they realize that there's no value in planning a 4-year project. And 6 months into year 1, things are going to change. Laws will change, supplies, materials will change, your people will change. So why not have sort of a roadmap of how we're going to get to the next 4 years? Let's have a release plan, maybe by quarter. And in Q1, let's plan out month 1 and month 2 in great detail, and then we'll start collecting requirements for month 3. And we'll keep just rolling out all the way to the end. When changes happen, great. We can adjust to those changes. We welcome change. We'd rather change now than at the end. I'd rather figure out that, you know what, 20% of the way, let's kill the project. It's not profitable, we're not going to be able to do it. Rather than plan it all out, spend all that money and resources. People tend to forget that when you're planning, you're spending resources, you're spending time, you're performing discovery. So this is the Scrum Master certification. This is just one of 3. This is one of 3 governing bodies in the framework of Agile. But in the waterfall framework, you have PMI's methodology, you have the Prince 2 methodology, which is prevalent in the UK, you have the International Project Management Association, so there's multiple methodologies there. And then within the Agile framework, you've got Scrum. And Scrum is the idea that we're going to have time box something into a sprint, usually 2 weeks. We'll do a sprint planning session, do the sprint, and then we'll have a sprint review. And we'll bring all of our customers in and we'll say, here's what we completed, what do you guys think? And they'll say, yeah, we like the first 9 that you guys did, but number 10, we don't like it. Okay, great. We put that back into the pile, into our backlog. We'll groom it again. Usually it grows. We'll reprioritize it by business value or risk or cost to complete. And then we'll plan the next sprint. And we'll keep doing that repetitively. That's your Scrum methodology. There's Kanban, which you guys saw up there. There's test-driven development, and that doesn't just have to be for software or for code. Test-driven development says that if I'm going to install all these lights in here, the test is when I turn the lights on, do they come on? So if or when people walk into the room, do the lights automatically come on? So that's the test. Now go and give it to your architects, your designers, and have them build it to beat that test. That's test-driven development, right? In a non-software development framework. And then Six Sigma is the idea, this is a quality methodology, or from the quality framework, one methodology is Six Sigma, there's Lean Six Sigma, quality function deployment. But ultimately, Six Sigma points to defects. It's the idea that if I produce 1 million units, I want to have less than 3.4 defects. That sound like a lofty goal? It does, right? But think about this. How many times do you touch your phone in a day? And if you start multiplying that by the amount of times that happens in a day, by the weeks, the months, and the years, if you touched your phone and 5 times in a day, it didn't work, would that be okay? It would be okay to you guys. If you turn your TV on and it didn't come on, that wouldn't be okay. If you start your car 1 million times and it didn't work 3 times, you probably would be upset. All right, all of those 3 times, but that would be Six Sigma. And so this comes from a lot of the manufacturing industries. They want to be able to produce 1 million units and have less than 3.4 defects. So if I produce 2 million units and I have 7 defects, I'm not Six Sigma because that's 3.5. So it's just 3.4 or less. And it's the idea of 99.999. Right, when you start getting into the millions, and then 66 is really what it is after that. All right, so if it's 99.99%, well, that's tenths, that's thousands. That means that if I had a 99.98 times, that means that every 1,000 times I start my car, 2 times it's not going to work. And that would be totally unacceptable to you guys. All right, so we really look to process? Do I have materials that are here trying to fix a component that's over here, and every time somebody has to go all the way to this side of the building to get those materials and then take them over? Why not just set everything up right here next to each other? So that's a lean Six Sigma. Looks for waste. Right, but that's another framework. All right, so now we're going to talk about key concepts for you guys. This is the meat and potatoes of project management for you guys, and we don't have enough time in 45 minutes to go through it. Right? This project management course that I'm sort of going through at a high level for you guys happens in it's a semester course that can happen in 2-hour sessions over 16 weeks for folks who are in college. I also do it in a 4-day boot camp. You go 8.5 hours a day for 4 days. That's the most popular for folks who are working. So there's a lot. This is what I'm trying to say here. But for entrepreneurs, for almost anyone in business, especially for yourself, though, these are the key concepts that I want you guys to take away. Effort versus duration. How long does it take to bake a cake? Anybody bake a cake?
I go to the bakery.
Good, smart.
Everybody should have a job.
You're baking a cake.
About
About
an hour.
an hour, right? Duration of an hour. Right? What's the level of effort required to bake a cake? 10 minutes. Right? Effort versus duration. I want you guys to really think about that. When you're estimating how long something's going to take, don't think about how long it's going to take me to do the work. Oh, it's just going to take me 10 minutes to real quick. I'm going to make this cake real quick. I just need 10 minutes to go and whip it up and I'll put it in the oven. No, because you got to go back and check on it. And, you got to effort versus duration. They understand it too. Cost-benefit analysis. I have a project that's going to cost me X amount of dollars. I'm going to gain Y. Cost to the benefits. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? And we go a step deeper, not in here, we don't have time today, but we go a step deeper and we start looking into the net present value, where we start looking at the future value of money, because a dollar today is only worth 95 cents next year, or whatever the Fed rate is. So you can't just say, okay, project's going to cost me $1 million. I'm going to get $100 grand a year, so in 10 years I'm going to make my money back. No, because in 10 years that $100 grand is only going to be worth maybe $85,000. So you got to really look at that net present value. Right? So that's net present value versus payback. Right, Pareto's law. Anybody familiar with that? This is the 80-20 rule. And this is true for almost everything in the world. I mean, it's the idea that this first came about. I'm going to botch this, but the idea was 80% or 20% of the population controlled 80% of the money. And these days, that gap is widened, right? But it's also the idea that it's going to take 20% of your effort to get the first 80% of your results, and 80% of your effort to get the last 20%. If you guys write an email, you write an email real quick. You do that, and 20% of your time, you get 80%. You write the email. And then you'll go through and you'll look, and is it correct? That means grammatical errors, is my spelling right? And then you'll spend the last 8 minutes, so if you have 10 minutes, 2 minutes to write it, 8 minutes to edit. Right? So 2 minutes to get 80% of the results, 8 minutes to finish the last 20%. And if you look at construction, it's that way too. Salesforce Tower is going up in San Francisco right now. They've got it up. And it's going to take another 2 or 3 years before they complete it because they're doing all the finish work. 80% of the work is done. So that's the 80-20 rule. You guys want to look at that because these are things that you want to recognize. How quickly can I get to 80%? And don't fret the last 20%. Just get to the 80%. See if you can get there. The rest will sort of take care of itself. But what happens is you spend so much time trying to figure out how to get to the last 20%. Sometimes it's not worth it. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. So know this concept, 80-20 rule. Then there's the triple constraints. Anybody hear this? Scope, schedule, budget. So it's a triangle. It's literally got the scope of the project, how much time it's going to take, how much it's going to cost. 180 degrees inside that triangle.
I didn't quite get that.
I don't care. Who's that? Oh, and that triangle, it doesn't matter. Scalene, isosceles, obtuse, right triangle, it's going to be 180 degrees. Right, so when you guys are running a project, you got to determine what's the most important thing. Because you're going to be running projects for yourself. So if you're running projects for somebody else, when I work for companies and I consult, I go to the sponsor or the owner, and I'll say, what's the most important thing to you? Is that you need to get it done. If we're going to build this room, the room needs to be exactly as configured on paper. Is that the most important thing? Is it the budget? How much money we're going to spend? better give me more money, or give me more time to complete the same amount of scope, you know, and get creative. If you want me to do something quicker, then you better decrease your scope, or give me more money to get it done faster, right? It doesn't matter. You can't change one without changing the other two. Right? So that's the triple constraints. Quality assurance versus quality control. Quality assurance is the idea that we're doing everything in the right order. We're using the right tools. We're using the right processes. We're doing things correctly. That's quality assurance. Quality control is in testing. Okay, now that we did everything in the right order, does it work? Is it going back and forth? Yeah, is it there? If I hold it forever, how long will the battery? People like Consumer Reports do a lot of this stuff. They do it well. Right, but that's quality control is testing. Critical path. Maybe you guys heard that one. What's on my critical path? What's on my critical path? People throw that out, but they don't really know what the critical path is. And in my 30-second version, because this takes me an hour usually with folks to go through. But in the 30-second blurb, what the critical path is where you look at all of your activities. Your very first activity, you might have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of activities. And in those rows, you might have all these columns that represent days or weeks and months, right? And so in each of those rows, you might have 5 activities that can all start now. And then those activities are predecessors to the next activities in line, which are predecessors to the next activities in line. And what you'll find is that as you go through the path of all of these columns of activities, there's going to be one of these paths that's the longest duration. Right? So it's the longest chain of activities, and it'll have the least amount of float. What float is, it's the amount of time that you can delay an activity before it starts to delay the next one. Right? And so it's the, you know, it's kind of technical, but that's the idea.
So Cecilia, we're at 3:30, so you know, just so you know.
Okay, so I went way over. I wanted to give you guys Q&A to go in. All right, sprint, we talked about sprint, and then the backlog will be all of your requirements. So real quickly, the next steps, I put some links in here for you that I provide to folks, and I think these are 3 really good articles that you guys can read about project management for entrepreneurs. And then if you need more resources, please go to my website, go there, go for resources. You can sign up for the newsletter. We put out a bunch of information for folks. We just have to pay it forward. All right, and then this is why we do it, right? Family. So I just want you guys to know this. I'm here because somebody gave me all of this information, and now I just pay it forward. I'm very fortunate in my life that I've had a lot of gurus who taught me a lot of things. I've managed projects I've had no business managing because most PMs stay in one vertical, one field, and they do it forever. But I've done software development and IT infrastructure and construction and healthcare and nonprofit and government, and so I'm sort of an anomaly, and so that's why I teach, because we all want to be home with our family, we want to be with our kids. So this is my little nugget, Samir. He's going to be 3 in September, and this is his baby brother Rio. He's 8 weeks tomorrow. And my daughter just turned 18 in the end of January, so she's going off to college. So my wife said, "That's it, no more." So this is why we do it, and I also do it for the kids. I met Brian, and I got involved with this because I was working with an internship program with the Hayward School District for kids that had to deliver projects and doing project-based learning, and that's just what I love to do. It's amazing how the kids can absorb project management so much faster than us as adults, and that's just because we're sort of tainted by our experiences. But that's why. So here's another picture of some kids here. But this is what I do. Besides this, I still consult and manage projects, but I just love to pay for information. So as you guys learn, the only thing I'll ask you is, as you ask of me and I give to you, give back to others, and that's it. We're over on time. You guys have a break coming up. You have other things. Is there 1 or 2 pressing questions, and then the rest you guys can submit?
Questions for Cecilia?
Okay, so if you guys have anything pops up, please let me know. Shoot me an email. And either way, thank you guys.
Thank you so much.